Hello, Eleanor Beaton here. And today in this live stream video, we are talking about should you cut your prices in a downturn? So, if you are considering slashing your prices, maybe you are looking at offering services that you traditionally charge for free, or potentially you have been looking at introducing new low cost offers. If these are questions you've been struggling with, you are in the right place. Eleanor Beaton here, and I advise women entrepreneurs on how to increase sales and reduce overwhelm through our business and leadership coaching services. And I am getting questions every day on exactly this topic. So, in today's episode of Scaling Strategies, the 2% Scaling Strategies for Women Entrepreneurs, you are going to learn whether or not you should cut your prices in order to boost sales. So we're going to be taking a look at that. I'm going to share with you some pricing tips to help you meet your customers where they are today, because what things look like and what the landscape looks like today is significantly different than what it looked like last week, 2 months ago. And I know so many of you, your forecasts are changing by the week. So we're going to talk about how you can, pricing tips you can use to meet your customers where they are today. And we'll also talk about what you should and should not offer for free. Now, if you would like my help in marketing effectively through this downturn, you can take a look at an on-demand training I've created for you. Go to adversitymarketing.com. So go to adversitymarketing.com. You will see an on-demand webinar that I have there that really goes through some strategies to help small business owners out at this time. I firmly believe that small business owners are the engine of the economy. I know so many of you are having a really hard time right now. And so this is an opportunity to get some really great free training to help you continue to show up, to serve your customers, and to weather this storm the best that you can. So here's the key takeaway that I want you to keep in mind. The pricing decisions that you make today are going to impact your business not only today, but for up to 3 years after the economy recovers. So I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. The pricing decisions that you make today are going to impact your business not only in the short term, but also could be impacting your business for years after the economy recovers. Now, here's the deal. Lots of people are saying things like today's situation is unprecedented. People are saying nobody knows what to do. And people are always also saying there's absolutely no playbooks to guide small business owners and leaders out there. To quote George Santayana, the great Spanish philosopher, if you don't know history, you are doomed to repeat it. Okay. Another way to say that is another historian, fairly radical historian, Howard Zinn, said, if you don't know history, you were born yesterday. There is, in fact, a wide body of recession research out there. And this research can help you make, when we look to it, it can help you make informed decisions about whether or not you should cut your pricing and how to make lower priced offers without harming your current offers. So here's what we know based on research coming out of previous recessions. So during the last recession, this is research that was published in the Harvard Business Review, average prices dropped nearly 10% and stayed at those levels for 2 years after the downturn. So why did prices drop? Okay, so companies were dropping their prices. So producer prices, that's sort of the average basket of prices, dropped by nearly 10% and stayed there for a full 2 years after the recession. So why did prices drop? Well, according to the research published in Harvard Business Review, really 3 reasons. And you might be able to relate to all 3. The first is that business leaders and entrepreneurs, just like you, sometimes assume that cutting prices is the only way to keep your customers and your market share. Okay, so that's assumption number 1. The other reason that prices fell is because entrepreneurs and sales teams might feel under pressure to meet their quota. And so they may be offering discounts. They may also be feeling pressure to cut prices. And then finally, companies want to try to recoup at least some of their costs on the assets they have, staff members or other assets that they're paying for. So they take whatever they can get. Like I said, the pricing decisions that you make today are going to impact your business not only in the short term, but for years after the economy recovers. And that's what research from previous recessions has taught us. So, what it means is that you want to be very intentional about the decisions that you're making right now, and you want to do it with a lot of integrity, knowing that you could be honoring these prices over the long term. So let me show you an example of how insidious a price cut can be to your business. And so I'm going to walk through a very hypothetical example here. Let's say that you own a diversity and inclusion consulting business. All right. And so you offer consulting, you offer training workshops, you offer coaching services, and it's you and an executive assistant. And then you have a small collection of very high caliber consultants that you work for that you essentially hire as contractors to help you deliver your services. Okay. So that is the hypothetical example that we're working through here. But based on my knowledge of my audience, I suspect this is an example that could be very on point for many of you. So you're a diversity and inclusion consulting business and you sell an unconscious bias workshop. Okay, so this is a full day workshop that you offer. It costs $5,000. All right. So you need to be marketing and selling right now. You know that you need to be out there more than ever. So you are continuing to pay a contractor. This is just the way it's always been, and you're continuing to take this route. You pay a contractor $1,500 to run this workshop for you. Okay, so you sell the workshop for $5,000. You pay a high caliber contractor $1,500 to run that workshop for you. Now, the other part of this is that this is with a client and you did a lot of business development work. Like you put in the time to land that client. Okay. Your time, entrepreneurs, is not free. All right. You put in the time. So let's say, even if we're, really discounting your time, the time spent on business development, you put in 2 solid days of work over the last quarter to land this deal because you want to acquire these guys as a client. That's another $1,500. Okay. So $5,000, that's how much it cost you. That's how much you're charging for this workshop. Minus the $1,500 cost you pay the consultant, minus the $1,500 of your salaried time to land this deal. That means that your profit on the workshop is $2,000. Okay, simple example, but let's keep the math simple so we follow along, okay? But the recession hits, we're in it, and you are afraid to lose any deals. So you drop your price on that workshop by 10%. Okay, so it goes from $5,000 to $4,500. It's a $500 drop, a 10% drop in the price. Are you with me so far? Now your profit is only $1,500. And pay careful attention to the math. You cut your prices by 10%, but that resulted in a 25% drop in profits. This is a race to the bottom. The math doesn't lie. This is why it can be so insidious for entrepreneurs to cut their prices in response to a downturn. It's why you very often do not want to cut your prices. Not only do you kill your profits, as I just shared in the example, a 10% drop in price results in a 25% drop in profit. Profit is what you use for your cash reserves. It's what you use for your peace of mind. You do not want to be cutting that out precisely at this time, right? When you need it most. So not only do you kill your profits, but you also start to train your customers to expect lower prices. And this is why 2 years after the last recession, prices were still on average 10% lower than they were beforehand. And again, it might seem like a small drop, but for small business owners, a 10% drop in prices can take a huge chunk out of your profits. And that's where so much of your peace of mind, your cash reserves, the money that you spend on, making investments, on research and development, on new innovations, on technology, that's where that money comes from. Okay. So you really want to be careful about dropping your prices and cutting your profits. It's a little, and as I've said, the pricing decisions that you make today are going to impact your business in the short term, but they are going to also be hanging around for up to 3 years after the economy recovers. It's like waking up with a bad hangover the morning after a great party. Those 5 glasses of champagne seemed like a great idea at the time, but you have a hefty price to pay after the fact. So the takeaway here is that you do not want to be cutting pricing, but we live in the real world. So I wanted to offer you some tips on what to do instead. And if you want even more background on how to market and sell effectively and tastefully during a downturn, you can go to adversitymarketing.com. That's where I have a 40-minute on-demand training webinar, super high value, where I'm really walking you through and providing you with some very effective strategies to help you out. So let's talk about my 4 tips to help you price effectively during a downturn. So the first thing that I want to offer you is apples to oranges pricing. Okay, so some of the questions that we'll get, and PS, if you have questions, please go ahead and send them through. I'm happy to do a little bit of Q&A in a bit here. And if you know someone who would benefit from this training, please make sure that you tag him or her in the comments. Looking forward to hearing what those questions are. Okay. So apples to orange pricing. So tip number 1, don't charge less for the same offer. Okay. So I've had lots of questions. Should I be cutting my pricing on my packages? Should I be, discounting my services? Implement apples to orange pricing. So don't charge less money for the very same offer. If you decide, and many entrepreneurs are being very creative about how they can meet their market where they're at today. And so if you decide to come in with a lower priced package, ensure that it is markedly different from your existing offers. Okay, so here's an example. Let's say you're an HR consultant, and let's say that you have typically, up to this point, up until like 2 weeks ago, you were selling consulting packages in the $10,000 range to small businesses. And these packages included consulting, they included CEO mentoring, and they included a suite of tools, maybe template contracts, policies, that kind of thing. So potentially you decide that you're going to offer a package. Right now, you want to shift your packaging. So you're going to offer a package that's half the price. It's $5,000. But what you do is you cut out maybe the mentoring, you cut the consulting time, and you include the tools. You're including the tools because they're very highly profitable. You've created them once. Now they're an asset that you're continuing to leverage. Very, very useful, high profits anyway. So you've gotten creative about creating a lower priced offer that meets them where they're at. So this is an option that you have, rather than taking the same package and just cutting the price. Okay. Here's the thing. If you do this, you need to make sure that you are communicating clearly, not only the value of what they are getting, but also make sure that you are communicating the value that they aren't getting. And so this would be an example. Listen, these tools that you have are going to be very powerful and practical for you to meet you where you are right now. Typically, I would include consulting to really help you achieve X, Y, Z. These tools will give you a great start. And let's revisit the consulting next quarter when we have more clarity. Okay, so you're really making sure that if you are making an apples to oranges offer, make sure that you clearly delineate that so that it is very clear to your customers. All right. So that's tip number 1, apples to orange pricing. Tip number 2, and this is a really important one, don't assume that people won't buy at full price. So I'm hearing a lot of that. But what I'm so interested in is the fact that many of the people who are saying people aren't buying at full price aren't actually offering anything at full price. So how do you know, right? As entrepreneurs and business leaders and salespeople, it's really important that we always are managing our minds. A great example of this is a dear friend recently. She closed a launch. So she was offering a specific package during a launch. It was a 1 week launch. It happened right on the heels of some of the most major disruption caused by the pandemic. And her package was priced at I think it was at like about $7,500, and she did close to 200,000 in sales over that week. Now it was a 20% drop over previous launches for sure, but she still held strong with her pricing and still maintained a powerful profit margin. Okay. So you have to manage your mind and ensure that you aren't engaging in reactionary pricing, or and that you're not making your customers' decisions for them. All right. So again, tip number 2, don't assume that people will not buy at full price. This is really important, because you could be wrong about that. The third tip that I want to offer is that when conversion goes down, increase the pool of prospects. So, again, in the case study I was just sharing with you, she kept her pricing strong. She had a very successful launch, but her conversion was lower than it had been in previous sales launches. And so that's something that you can certainly plan for. In fact, I would as a responsible CEO, I would plan that sales conversion would be a little bit lower than normal, or potentially significantly lower than normal. And when conversion goes down, what action do you want to take? You want to increase your pool of prospects. And how do you do that? By continuing to show up, to provide value, and to really be marketing effectively. All right. Marketing effectively, not in a tone deaf way, but really showing up on a regular basis in a way that's going to support people. And I have to say, as somebody who has been out there, creating content, podcasting, video, all of that, I have really noticed that over the course of the last few weeks, I have really seen an uptick in people who are out there marketing, providing excellent value, showing up of it, creating content that's of service. It is heartwarming to see. I take in some of that material. It's very helpful to me. So I am seeing that entrepreneurs are responding. I'm also seeing a lot of tone deaf marketing out there too. So increase your pool of prospects by showing up, being of service, being omnipresent to the degree that you can, and understand that if you show up in this way, it helps you to safeguard your business in the short term, but it also really positions you for longer term success. And then the fourth tip that I will share, this is really about what to offer for free and what not to offer for free. So provide free value. Don't hold back. Like an example of that is this video. Think about the questions or the concerns or how you can show up to serve your marketplace, and provide free value. And I see a lot of people doing this. And this was really powerful, especially in the short term. We were seeing this, but we're transitioning now. This is our new reality, for the next few weeks or months. Nobody knows how long it's going to last. And as a business owner, you have to be smart. Okay. So show up, provide value, create great content that answers questions that your clients and prospects have, but make sure you're being smart about it and providing a path back into your sales process. So there's different ways to do that. And it can be as simple as, here's the strategy. And if you'd like to talk to me about, more strategies on how to implement this in your particular setting, please feel free to, send me a direct message on this platform, or download this free white paper, or here's a checklist to help you XYZ, right? These are all different ways in which you provide a path back into your sales process. And I think, many entrepreneurs feel a little, they're not quite sure how to do this, and so hopefully that gave you some great ideas. You can show up, provide a ton of free value right now, really, be of service to your audience at a time when they need you, but be smart about it, value your time, and really just simply let people know that there are opportunities to work with you. So, if you appreciated it, if you found this useful, you are definitely going to want to check out adversitymarketing.com. It's just a simple, easy to remember URL, adversitymarketing.com, and it's going to take you to an on demand webinar where I am providing some training on how to continue to market effectively, to serve your audience, and also to use it in a way that allows you to weather the storm effectively and position your business to roar back after the downturn that we're currently experiencing. Adversitymarketing.com. All right. I want to thank you so much for showing up, for being here. I stand in such solidarity with small businesses around the world who are really working hard to continue to be the economic engines that we have always been. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you soon. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.